Hello, everyone, and welcome to the May 9th Product Analytics Group Sync. We will go ahead and start things off with the classic build board review. So I will share my screen and get started over there. Hopefully everyone can see the build board. Seeing some nodding. So let's go ahead and get started. A few issues, actually quite a lot of issues in open still, but not a lot that's assigned to people that these should really ideally need workflow labels. There's this 34 bug, which we can check in, I suppose, next time. I don't think there's anything to report on here. No, so just quickly browse through here. Hopefully we can start kind of pulling some of these Jitsu cleanup issues soon, because I think we're about close to wrapping up the snowplow stuff. Yeah, so let's just go ahead and get into issues that are in workflow states. So upgrading the live clusters with Snowplow and Kafka Analytics Stack. So this was kind of blocked. This is blocked on a change to the queue production deployments, which I mentioned yesterday. I got some good progress on. So I'm in the final stages of wrapping that up, making sure that's all ready for our Helm chart. And then I can go ahead and update all the clusters there and then connect them to all the dev staging and .com GitLab instances. We also have the separating ClickHouse from the analytics stack issue that Halil is looking into. So this is something we want to look at in terms of our general strategy, in terms of how we want to scale ClickHouse. As mentioned previously, there are different usages of ClickHouse currently at GitLab, and one of the observability, one of the other groups, this actually has their own operator to manage and scale ClickHouse clusters. So that's something we may want to look into, and we'll have to determine how we want to interact with that. And what our options are. Of course, we have to be mindful of how we can package this for self-managed, as well as how we might handle this for .com, but it's a little bit more context around that. I already spoke to the issue about connecting clusters, and then we have improving management of secrets within the stack. Max, anything to call out here?
Yeah, so this has been fun. So Rob, just to bring everyone up to speed, Rob did some work to introduce something called sealed secrets, which essentially allows us to encrypt secret values in our Helm charts. It turns out that GitLab uses HashiCorp Vault to store secrets, and that we can use that. So there's an open access request. I know Dennis has already chased on to get us access to that, essentially. But in the meantime, today, me and Rob did sort of a mammoth pairing session where we proved the concept, essentially, that we can store secrets in an instance of HashiCorp Vault and inject them at runtime into our own Kubernetes pods. There is a 90-minute rambling screencast that we recorded earlier that I need to go through and hide all the secrets from, which, given the subject matter, may take a while. But yeah, it's interesting. We learned a lot. We've proven it can be done. So once this access request is approved, hopefully we can migrate all of our horrible plain text secrets over to wonderfully encrypted, secure ones.
Would it make sense perhaps to upload that just to Google Drive, knowing that? Or are we actually exposing? Because it's not anything running on like production, right? So to save you the time of like censoring things.
I think, yeah, that's what I was thinking about, but also I'm concerned because it's the cluster I use is my personal test cluster, but within the product analytics project. Like, if you're comfortable with me just uploading it to Google Drive, then that's fine. I was just erring on the side of caution in case I'd missed something or forgotten something.
Given, I think the issue itself is confidential, but I mean, given the sensitivity of handling secrets, I think there was never any goal to publicly share this information. I guess the issue is confidential, but if it's easier just to upload it privately, then I would say let's do that, just so we can do it, at least knowledge sharing across the group.
Fine. I will do that first thing tomorrow morning then.
Sounds good. Awesome. Then we've got adding new visualizations as panels to the dashboard, which is assigned to Jan, but it's blocked by the add dashboard functionality. So you can hopefully check on that later in the board review. We've also got fetching dashboard configurations from the backend, which is one of the final pieces to be able to switch over to Snowplow. So we got all the Snowplow specific schemas and the retrieval of that happening in the backend now, which is in development. So hopefully we can see what's going on here at a later point. Same time, we've got the updating product analytics backend for Snowplow compatibility. Excuse me, Alan. Anything to call out here?
That's actually in review. Just waiting on maintainer review to merge it, I think.
Awesome. Cool. So I think between that and one of the issues, we'll get to that issue. So add instrumentation details to general settings, analytic settings. Ellen, anything to call out here?
It's very close. I'm just running through onboarding with Jitsu and Snowplow and trying to get it tested.
Nice. Cool. And then Alan, you've got adding Snowplow support to bringing your own cluster.
That is also in review. That just went into review.
Nice. Cool. Then on to the remaining issues in review. We've got tracking usage of product analytics, weekly active users, and products emitting data. Max, anything to call out here?
Yeah, there's sorry. 4 open MRs for tracking various usage things, 3 of which are now merged, and I assume in production, if not far away. And 1 is currently in product intelligence review.
Awesome. And then we've got the product intelligence is now analytics instrumentation, just another signal boost for that.
That is very true, because I keep using, we need to rename their labels.
That is true. And then Elwin, you've got updating product analytics onboarding and dashboard flow to reflect the updated Snowplow initialization process, which is currently marked as blocked, but I don't believe that is the case anymore. All right, I guess, yeah, it is. Yeah, you're right.
This one's just waiting on a conflict to be resolved, and then it's going to be merged. Very close.
Awesome. And then we've got the put an add dashboard button on the analytics listing page, which is effectively the dashboard designer experience, at least adding an empty dashboard. So it's in review. Not sure if there's anything else to call out here, but we'll just check the comments just to double check. No. So then we can go ahead and get to verification issues. We've got updating the funnels API to return Snowplow compatible SQL and allowing users to connect product analytics stack at the project level. Alan, you have both of these. Anything to call out here?
No, they're just waiting on turning on Snowplow support in production so that we can verify that they work.
Perfect. All right. So hopefully I can get that sorted. And then just for those reviewing the recording, I can scroll. Got a couple final pieces here as far as updating the back end, making sure the onboarding flow on the front end, as well as fetching the dashboard configurations, which are the final pieces for the Snowplow switchover. At that point, we can enable the feature flag and we can start instrumenting and sending events to Snowplow, which I will have the Snowplow enabled on the clusters. And then we should be able to, once the feature flag is enabled, use the correct dashboards and schemas to actually be able to view the events collected from Snowplow on the dashboards. So getting really close there. Cool. Then we have our bookmark for the last issue was updating the audience and behavior dashboards. So since then we've had probably looks like 9 or so issues. So we've fixed transitioning pods with persistent volume claims. There's a PTO handover issue. I've pushed a change to improve the credential usage in ClickHouse and Cube. Still would definitely benefit from the secret management stuff from HashiCorp Vault, but we'll iterate on that. And then Ellen, you've got the next 2 issues that are closed in terms of instrumentation, SDK example code being invalid, and deep linking URLs as top pages in the behavior dashboard. Anything to call out here?
The only one is that SDK example code now uses a feature flag to switch between Jitsu and Snowplow compatible code.
Awesome. And then we'll move on to Max, your issue here in terms of product analytics visualization from data vulnerable to path traversal.
Yes, one of the engineers from AppSec raised a priority 1 bug on definitely code that I might have written, where it was possible to craft a dashboard definition that would enable you to access files outside of your own repository. I think it would have been very difficult to exploit, but an absolutely good catch from AppSec anyway. So easily fixed. And yeah, luckily got it into the same release that it was introduced, so there's no backports or anything, any security release issues we've got to deal with.
Well, it's good they're catching these now when we're still getting out to customers, but yeah, good catch and quick fix as well, since we can work in Canonical. Cool. And then we've got 2 more improvements to our stack that Halil has in terms of improving the development of persistent volume claims using stateful sets, as well as improving the usage of environment variables by pulling them into deployment YAML files. So just a lot of quality of life usage there, and then allows us to, for ClickHouse, scale that better in terms of having multiple replicas set up. So that wraps up our board review. I will make a bookmark, and then we can go on with, well, it's a read-only item, so I'll just pause to see if anyone else has anything they'd like to verbalize or talk about. Very cool. Well, overall, I think we're in a good spot. We're very close to the snowplow integration being complete and being able to clean up a lot of that Jitsi code, so we don't have to worry about those dual paths, and hopefully that'll be a little bit easier to manage. At the same time, a lot of progress being made on the stack management side of things. So Cube is now very ready for production. No security issues. Well, less likely to have security issues. I don't want to make a statement that I'll kick myself later on for making, but it's running according to their production checklist. So that's looking good. So yeah, cluster updates will go out. I'll just create the infrastructure issues to get those connected. And my goal after that is to really kick off, reboot the production readiness review to see where we can go in terms of getting this deployed out in production. So yeah, exciting stuff. In the meantime, we'll continue iterating on what we're working on. If there's nothing else, then we can call it early, give everyone 17 minutes back. Good to see everyone. Have a good rest of your Tuesdays, rest of your week, and take care.
Cheers.